All right. Welcome back to the latest edition of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, and let me just make sure this thing is streaming. You know, last week we had an issue. Yes, it is streaming. So we are back in the building, back in effect, guys. Back live. So, of course, I can have you guys participate if you want to. So I'll give you guys a few moments to get up in here, man. Excuse me. Sorry for that. I do have it. I thought I had left my water. Let me take a quick swig while some of you guys get up in here. And then we'll get it cracking, man. And let me also share the link. I'm going to share the link out to a few special people here. Really quick. And how's everybody doing so far tonight, man? I hope everybody's well. My brother Tony already in the building. Look at Tony, man. I ain't even got to send my brother the link here tonight. He already on it. That's what I'm talking about. But how's everybody doing this evening, man? Everybody good? Glad to hear that. Very slow time right now for the Steelers, man. So, of course, we don't have a ton to talk about. But, guys, again, give me a quick second, man. Let me get this sent off to my father-in-law, Leonard. Send it to my cousin, Floyd. Really quick. I say really quick, right? And all you guys are doing is seeing me look down. Sorry about that, man. But we're going to get it cracking here in just a hot second. Hot pizza. But how's everybody doing, man? Hope everybody's well. And I got another another brother-in-law on my brother's side. You know, his wife's brother, him and his dad are big-time Steeler fans. Ran into him over the weekend and didn't have his number. And I told him I was going to shoot this, the link to him so he can get on in this thing, man. So we got a whole big giant Steeler family, man. So let's get it. You guys ready, right? I know you are. I am. So let's go ahead and get it cracking. Let me really quick, man. I'm going to do the shout outs to the early viewers. Shout outs to Y Diggy, my brother Tony, Air Raid Madden, Jay Vega, Patrick Covington, SG Task Kicker, Dro Hill, A. Whitfield, and Luke Brooks and Mark White are the early viewers. I appreciate you guys coming out. Of course, do me a favor if you can, man. Hit the like button if you like what you see. Hit the share button. Share it out to the social media world for others to view. And also subscribe to the channel, man, if you haven't already. So let's go ahead and get this introduction one more time. Welcome to the latest edition of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, and we're going to talk a little bit about Steelers tonight. Of course, if any of you guys want to call in and comment, the number is right there on the screen. I'll read it to you. Area 619-924-0818. And again, not a lot to talk about tonight, man. What's up, Still Jedi, my man there. But yeah, not a lot to talk about, man. It's a very slow period, so I'll just give you my quick thoughts, let you know the few things that I want to discuss really quick. Then I'll turn it over to you guys for anybody who might want to call in. Then after that, we'll read a few chats and we'll get out of here. And again, like I said, guys, we're condensing the show. We're going to hold this thing to 30 minutes. Right now, we are at 3 minutes and 38 seconds. So let me stop yapping and get to the action. So what I want to cover, the running back committee. We're hearing a little bit about that. There's some rumors out there about that, so I will discuss that. JuJu as the number one receiver. Keenan Allen has some comments to say about that, so I'm going to give my quick thoughts on that. And then Joe Haden has some comments about Artie Burns. Yes, Artie Burns. So I'll talk about that. And then the last thing I'll talk about, man, is, of course we know the Steelers haven't had a great success last season with turnovers. Troy Polamalu being the last one to have more than 4 turnovers in a single season, which was at 7. That was back in 2010. So I'll just give my quick piece on that. If I get to that, okay. If I don't, I won't. But we kind of know that part. But let me stop talking again and get to it. So, running back by committee. I want to know how you guys feel about that. I'll give you my thoughts. So there's rumors and there's reports out there, man, coming out of training camp. Well, obviously training camp hasn't started yet, but coming out of OTAs and mini camp that, the Steelers will be looking to lessen the load off of James Conner, not really making him the bell cow, if you will, and, not following the model that they set with Le'Veon Bell and giving him, you know, X amount of carries and running him to the ground, more so spreading the wealth a little bit. It's good to hear that. You know, I'm going to give my opinion here. I think it's very good to hear that. Number one, James Conner has had issues with staying healthy, okay? I love James Conner. I love his demeanor. I remember telling my cousin Floyd this weekend, you know, we were together this weekend, and I told him, I said, man, you know, not to use this as a positive thing, but when I watch James Conner run, you know, I hate to use this word as, you know, saying something positive, but when I watch him run, he seems like he runs with the determination knowing that he came from cancer. You know what I mean? Like, every run is like he is trying to finish it and prove that he's the man. He's strong, you know, Connor strong, whatever you want to call it. That's just the emotion it seems like he runs with, and I really appreciate that. But like I said, he does get injured, you know, and it's no fault of his own. Sometimes it's just because of the way guys play. Certain bodies are prone to it. It just happens in the league. When you're playing a sport like that, injuries are going to happen. So it's good to see that. Hopefully, if you know, if what we're hearing is true, I'm cool with that. There's also reports out there saying that the Steelers grew comfortable with not James Conner, but Jalen Samuels by the midpoint of the season. Good to hear that. You know, we saw him show up in the New England game, you know, balled out. Now, I don't know if that was a combination of New England not being that great up front, or if it was outstanding play calling by Randy Fichtner, which I think that was part of it, or if Jalen Samuels does have the capability of being a Swiss Army knife. We will definitely see this season. So I think you're going to see a good 1-2 punch there. I think they're going to, you know, slowly bring Benny Snell along. And I think Benny Snell has the opportunity to be even better as the number 2 than Jalen Samuels, because he's more of a running back, you know, a hard-nosed guy. You know, if he starts feeling it a bit, I think the Steelers will feed him the rock and let him do his thing. I'm cool with it. You know, when you have 3 guys that are capable and you have 1 guy that's good at receiving, I'm just saying, man, that could bode very well for the Steelers instead of, you know, just trying to stop the one guy. Because let's be honest, none of them as, you know, all in one is Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell just posed a threat anytime he hit the field because of what he could do. But the 3 of them, you're throwing, you know, slightly different animals at you each time. I'm cool with the running back by committee. Now, as far as the comments, man, that Keenan Allen, excuse me, I was about to call him Cleveland. Keenan Allen made about JuJu Smith-Schuster. He was asked on Undisputed, you know, if how he felt about the Steelers losing Antonio Brown, and, you know, would it be a change? And he was like, absolutely. You know, when you lose a guy of that caliber, that talent, obviously there's going to be a change. But then he said, as far as JuJu, it's going to be rough. He was like, he won't even be able to sleep at night trying to figure out how to get open and how to deal with different routes and different coverages and double teams thrown at him and bracket coverage. It's going to be an adjustment. And it's cool to hear that from a guy like a Keenan Allen, you know, who is a top dog, a number 1 receiver. Definitely great to hear that from him, you know, hear his comments and his thoughts. Because obviously he's a been there, done that type of guy, and he's a beast. A beast in which we had problems containing late in that game against the Chargers, you know, throwing linebackers in coverage and getting them stuck out there, and don't get me started. But I agree with him, man. I think, listen, here's the question though, man, and if Keenan is in here, Kenyon is in here, Kenyon could probably, you know, elaborate on what I'm about to say here. I'll probably ask you again, Kenyon, later on to elaborate. But the thing is, essentially, JuJu will be the number 1 receiver because obviously he's going to be touted as the best talent and the go-to guy. But depending on where we line him up, you know, will he actually draw those number 1 responsibilities? If we move him inside, it's a lot harder to do that. Okay, if we keep him at the Z, even harder to do that, even though you could, as a defense, you know, flip your assignments per se, instead of letting the X, you know, usually being the lone guy that has to beat press and all of that. You could flip it, but I think if we could keep JuJu inside a lot of times when we go 3 wide, that's what I'm looking forward to. I want Moncrief to be able to handle the pressure that we're going to need him to hold up to, as well as if James Washington can come alive and give us something. If we can find ways to keep JuJu inside, he's still a matchup nightmare, and he's still going to eat inside. And then also you got Vance McDonald, you know, eating up in the middle as well. So I don't know if we might be able to keep JuJu from quote unquote getting the number one responsibility in terms of how you defend him based off of how we line him up. So I know everybody is saying that, but a lot of people, even regular people, I would say, just regular viewers, and even some media people might not realize that there's more to it than just being the number one receiver. Antonio Brown was the X. JuJu is not that. And I don't think that they're going to flip him and turn him into the X. So it ain't just simply, you're placing Antonio Brown. In reality and perception-wise, yes, but I think there's ways that we can still, keep him from, drawing the number one coverage responsibility, if you will. The next thing I will cover here, man, is where's the next thing? Joe Haden. Joe Haden talks about Artie Burns, and I'm going to read you the comments here. I got this information from SteelersDepot.com. Shout outs to them. I know Alex Kazur has watched this show before. I appreciate that, Alex. If you see this one, you know how I've expressed how I feel about yourself and Dave. So, I appreciate you viewing. I love the insight. You guys help me out greatly, keeping me informed of a lot of information I don't necessarily have access to. But basically, what they put here is Joe Haden says this. He wants to do better. He understands it's about your play on the field. These coaches are going to be blatantly honest with you about what you do well, what you don't do well, and what you can do to do better for the team. And he said it speaks a lot to him. Artie is just showing that he wants to be here and be the best he can. Here's the thing. One side note I would mention from that is I like the fact that obviously the coaches are in his ear, and it's good to hear players say the coaches are going to be brutally honest with you, blase blah, because a lot of people say the Steelers coaches are too soft, which I never believe that. None of us are there, but thought I would just mention that. It's good to hear a player say that. But number two, it's clear to me that one or two things. We're either going to cut Artie Burns before training camp to save, the roster bonus. Hope maybe they ask him to move it back and maybe he does it. I don't know. But they're either going to do that or they are going to actually bring him to camp and allow him to actually make the team. And what I mean by that, I know that sounds pretty cut and dry, but what I mean is, what I don't think he gets. It doesn't sound like they're just going to cut him because of his ability. Because we keep hearing too much about what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like it's too much positivity around him trying to get better. Whether it's coming from Joe Haden or whether it's coming from Colbert and others. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound like that they've written him off. But I think if he gets cut, it might be because of the roster bonus. Because it sounds like to me that they're going to give him one last shot with him being a former number one. I don't know, man. Listen, anything is possible. I think Artie Burns has shown us who he is. So I'm not optimistic that he can give us anything. But I will also say this, and I want to remind all of you guys of this. We don't have a lot of depth, man. We really don't. I know everybody's is big on Justin Lane, but we still got to see what he has. And Justin Lane, at the end of the day, is a rookie. And Cam Sutton doesn't seem to be the guy that was going to step in there and take the job. Artie might make it just off of sheer have to. Like, we have to keep him. You know what I mean? So, listen, if he's trying to do what he can, this is nothing unusual. We've been hearing that he does good in OTAs and training camp. Just doesn't translate on the field. So, I would love to be, surprised, and we're talking about Artie Burns, who's playing lights out for the Steelers in the 2019 season. I would love nothing more than that. Just not confident that that's going to happen. So hearing the positive news and stuff really doesn't mean much to me. We shall see. That's all I can say. And the last thing I'll comment, man, on, and then we'll go to the phone lines if any of you guys are in there. I do see we have 2 callers, so cool. Let me get through this. Troy Polamalu, man. The man, the myth, the legend. One of the best safeties I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes, just as not even ball hawk wise, because again, I'll be honest in saying that as a Steelers fan, I think Ed Reed might have been a better ball hawk, as just a pure ball hawk. But Polamalu just had a will to find the ball. You know what I mean? And they played two different positions. Let's not get it twisted. You know, Ed Reed was a pure free safety. However, Polamalu played both, you know, whenever he felt like it. You know, it's funny you hear the stories when he used to tell Ryan Clark, "Nah, you go play up. I'm going to play back." This, you know, just improvise on the spot. That's phenomenal. But anyway, he was the last guy to get more than 4 interceptions in one single season. He had 7 in 2010. And why is that important? It's because the Steelers desperately need to improve their interceptions and or total takeaways in this season. It makes no sense for us to lead in sacks last year and have the worst percentage in terms of interceptions and the most dropped interceptions. And Steven Nelson, maybe he can help with that. He had 4 of his own last year, but we shall see. But I just thought I would throw that out there, man. And, you know, in case you guys were wondering, we haven't had a player with, you know, 6, 7, 8 interceptions in a season, which I know is rare, but I'm just saying, you know, we haven't had that in a very, very long time. So I'm hoping that one of these guys can help out and pluck some balls off, man, because we're going to definitely need that this season. You know, I don't think this is going to be an easy season. You know, a lot of people are very optimistic. My boy Jedi out there, I'm sure he's listening. He's in the chat. He got us going 13-3. You know, very optimistic, and I love it. I love his approach to it. You know, he's gonna put it all balls to the wall. You know, he's just gonna jump out the window, and I love that. But I don't know if we're that team. I just don't. You know, maybe next week we'll analyze the schedule. I don't know. I don't know if we're that. So that's about all I got, man. Very slow news week, and it's gonna be this way at least for the next 4 or 5 weeks while these guys are on vacation until training camp. So let's get to the calls, man. We got 3 calls in the queue. We are at 17 minutes total, so good time there. Guys, just please do that favor for me, man. Keep your calls to a minimum as far as the length, 2 minutes, and then we get up out of here. So first up is 484, then 240. I believe that's my brother Tony. Then after that, 803. And then we'll see if anybody else comes in the queue. And just a reminder, man, if you're listening on the phone and you're coming in on the phone line, make sure you mute your computer or anything else that may be playing the stream in the background so it will keep from us having any type of double audio or what have you, or any delay. All right, first up, 484. We got you live in the building. What's going on? What's up, man?
What's going on? It's Jedi.
Jedi, what's up, brother?
Not too much. Hey, I'm actually glad you made the video today on a running back by committee. I've been wanting the Steelers to do this for years because of the fact that we've always had issues, especially with our star running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily just the fact that they're injury prone. It's just we put so much pressure on them rep-wise that it's very, very difficult for them to stay healthy for a full 16-game season.
Yeah.
People seem to forget that until Connor got hurt, he was one of the best running backs in the league. He led all the running backs in broken tackles in the National Football League, and he had over 10 touchdowns in like 8, 9, 10 weeks. So the fact that we went out and we drafted another running back in Benny Snell, who's very similar to James Conner, and we saw some improvement out of Jalen Samuels, I like our running back by committee idea, because here's the thing. Yes, Connor will be the number 1 running back. People are saying that Snell should be the number 1. Well, Connor has earned the right to be the number 1 running back. That doesn't mean that these other 2 guys aren't going to get their carries, aren't going to get their reps. And how I personally see it is that Connor is going to be the main guy, obviously, but you're going to use Samuels a lot more in the passing game. We saw what he was able to do when he had the ball in his hand in the open field. And he's a very, very solid receiver. So he's going to get a lot of his reps, in my opinion, in the passing game. Where Snell is going to come into play is going to be similar to Connor, that he's going to be a short yardage, goal line, red zone, 4-minute offense type of running back. Now, each person is going to get their carries. And the biggest thing that I, brought away from last year, especially with Connor, is that if he continued on pace where he was at the start of the season towards the game that he got hurt, he would have been in conversation at least for a first ballot option as an NFL MVP because of the way he was playing for Pittsburgh after we lost Bell. And not to mention, he was on pace to break 2,000 yards last season. He was on pace to break 2,000 yards. He had better stats than what Bell ever had in Pittsburgh. So now you give him the breather with Samuels, with Snell. Now you're going to see all three running backs being able to stay healthy through a full 16 games, which will help us come playoff time. Because, again, you may have a great starting lineup.
2-minute warning.
But if one of your guys is hurt, your bench needs to step up. And that's why a lot of teams struggle in the playoffs is because they don't have the depth behind their starters to be able to still compete in the playoffs. So that's all I wanted to say on that. I just wanted to come in and give my 2 cents on the running back room.
My boy Jedi, man. I appreciate you calling, man, as always. Thanks a lot, man. Guys, again, man, if y'all are not following Still Jedi and you're doing some great things out there, man, even in school and all that, love it, man. So, Still Jedi, man, I appreciate you tuning in. And like I said, guys, go listen to his, his bold predictions video where he talks about us going 13-3. He's very convincing, man. It's good information there. And good Lord, man, who is this guy we got in the chat, y'all? James Charles. Just this dude is bugging out. Don't pay him any attention, guys. Actually, I'm going to do a switcheroo. I know my brother won't mind. I'm going to come to Tony last because it looks like that might be the last call. So let me grab 803, and then I'll come back to Tony. Area code 803, live in the building. What you got for us tonight?
Hey, brother, what's going on tonight?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Missed you last week. Very optimistic about the running back situation. I would love for sledgehammer running backs like Connor and Snell to be a little elusive. You can't run over everybody. As Coach said, you can't run over everybody. You got to kind of learn how to sidestep those guys a little bit. And I would love for our fullback this year to be more incorporated into the offense. Have a little Moose Johnson, somebody who can do a little bit of everything in that offense. I wish our fullback was a little bit more involved in the offense. But lastly, the question is, if by somehow Bud Dupree, in which that has been a man that has been baptized by fire since he's been in the NFL with Antonio Brown in practice, and not Bud Dupree, I'm sorry, Artie Burns.
Artie, okay,
Bud Dupree can catch the lightning in the bottle. Can we turn that turnover ratio, which I heard on another show, which was at 15 for the defense, can we turn that 15 into a plus 10? If those two guys, you don't want to cut first-round draft picks. Is there any way possible, if those two guys, at least one of those guys catch lightning in the bottle, is there a chance that we can turn that number one sack, which would be forcing fumbles, and of course defense getting interception? Can we turn that into a plus 10 on our turnover ratio? Thanks.
Yeah, man, that's a good question, and definitely, man, I appreciate your call like always. And real quick for guys that and I appreciate you saying you missed me last week, man. I definitely appreciate that. Really quick, guys, if you missed it last week, I couldn't go live for whatever reason. The software wasn't streaming, so I did a pre-recorded video. So you can search the channel if you want to see that. It just wasn't live, so there you have it. All right, I'm going to bring Tony in really quick, man. And Kenyon said he answered my question, so I'm going to try to find Kenyon's reply there. But Tony, what you got for me, brother?
Hey, brother.
What's going on?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Good, man.
Hail to the black and gold, man.
You know it.
Hail to the black and gold, baby. Hey, look, I'm gonna try to answer all those little things that you were talking about, just like real quick. First of all, I look at JuJu. If he stay in the slot, I think he'll do very well. But me and you talk about this before. We've been missing our times lately, so we got to get it back up.
Yeah.
But it seems like everybody's sleeping on Dante Moncrief. I think everybody forgets this guy had 2 I'ma just say, you know, Kenyon gonna get on me. He gonna laugh at me. 2 buster bumps at the time. You know, because Andrew Luck was getting slapped around every time he turned around by the Titans or something like that. He was always hurt in his first couple of rookie seasons, and he had some good games too. And then when he went to Blake Bum Bortles, come on, he didn't have, you know, he had 2, you know, I mean, Andrew Luck is a good quarterback, but Blake Bortles, he didn't have the same caliber quarterback as Ben Roethlisberger. And I think everyone is sleeping on him. I think he's going to be, him and James Washington going to wind up being the dark horse. And it's going to cause JuJu to go back into his position. I think that he's going to be able to do just about a little bit of everything because of where he came from. I got to suck it up and give it to, you know, Kenyon, say something about USC wide receiver. So, you know. But but also another thing, James Conner, you were talking about that, running back by committee. I mean, you know, this is a copycat league. Now, what team does a running back by committee? They game plan and they put a running back in the game for that particular game. New England Patriots.
Sound like the Patriots.
The New England Patriots. Yes, they do. So, I mean, you know, they can try to do something like that, you know, to, you know, to game plan at a particular game, to put those put those running backs in position in those particular games. We know that James Conner, I mean, we're not too comfortable about it. Another thing about him, Steel Jedi, I'm just going to say it might be 7-9, 9-7. I just wanted to comment on that. But I'm going the opposite way. Okay? Artie Burns, you know, he might have to push his salary back.
Yeah.
He might be on that team. You know, we might don't want to hear it, but he might be on that team. And it was something else that you were talking about. I just can't think of it right now. Troy Polamalu. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm a Steelers fan. I'm just saying this pure facts. Troy played multi-positions, and it's different. We know that it's a different position. Ed Reed, we had a defense. The Ravens had a defense. All Ed Reed had to do was lay back there in the back and catch the ball. I'm not going to say that he never came up. Troy, if you ever saw Troy played inside linebacker. It was times when, Porter or what's his name? Who was our other guy that we had, number 56, Woodley dropped back in coverage while he was coming from the outside linebacker position. This guy played every position, which that's why I'm going to give him a little edge. Now, Reed might have had the interceptions. I believe that Troy added a little bit more to the game than Ed Reed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's just my, personal opinion on that. But I just think as far as with the running back concerns, just getting back to that, I think it's going to be a copycat. I mean, you look at Jalen Samuels, his skill is catching the ball out the backfield. I mean, we got to look at it now, Hugh. I mean, he had a game after that wasn't too good, but I mean, he was smacking around the defense of New England.
Yeah.
The same defense that was given I just lost it that quick who they played in the Super Bowl.
The Rams.
Oh my goodness. The Rams.
Yeah.
The same running back, Gurley, and that squad out there. I mean, he had what, over 140 yards rushing?
140 something, I think, or 130 something like that. Yeah.
The same defense, he was punishing them. The same defense that the Rams had problems with. The same defense that New England had, that was giving the Rams problems in their defense, and yet we were balling on that game. I don't know if that was a game of our life, but I know it was a good game.
Yeah.
But yeah. But that's all I had right there. Just a comment on all of those things that you were talking about, brother.
No doubt, man. Well, I'll definitely be hitting you up. You know how we do, man. And just to give you guys an update, Tony already knows this. And him and Kenyon, they're getting me caught up with Game of Thrones. I'm officially now on episode 10 of season 3. So I will probably watch that tonight, and then I can move on to season 4. And guys, don't spoil it for me. I was one of the 1% who just never watched it, but I wanted to give Kenyon and Tony here both an update. So we'll take one more call, man. We're going to take area code 412. I'm sorry if you guys couldn't get in tonight, man. Again, like I said, I got to keep the show a lot shorter. It was extremely too long, man. So I'm trying to meet that 30-minute mark. We may stretch it a little past that if necessary. Right now, we're a little bit past it. So I will take one last call, area 412. Before I do that, though, 412, let me comment on our last call at 803. Because I didn't answer his question. I just realized it. My bad. I hope you're still listening. Yes, if Artie Burns... Well, I'm going to say Bud Dupree more than Artie. Because Artie, if he has to play, it'll be in spots. We would expect that Steven Nelson, hopefully he can hold it down. We would expect Joe Haden to do what he's been. And maybe we bring Artie Burns in, if he's doing well. And this is just a big if. If he's doing well, maybe he helps us out in the dime or something like that. But more importantly, Dupree. If Dupree can just be what... he's not the best pass rusher. Kenyon definitely argues that, and I agree with him. He's not the best. He doesn't have a counter. He's either speed or nothing. But if he could just be the best Bud Dupree, if he could crack 8 to 9 sacks, I mean, my Lord, if he got 10 sacks, I'm falling all over the place. But if he can get to 8, 9, I think that is going to help the turnover ratio, because it ain't even just the sacks. If Bud could just get consistent pressure alongside Watt to rattle the quarterback, I think that's going to help with the turnovers. Because again, and also we got to catch him, because last year we dropped 13 interceptions. So part of that is on the defenders and the butterfingers between the cornerbacks, which I always am more criticize them. I know they're not receivers, but come on. Some of the linebackers dropped a few, but that's part of it. But yeah, definitely, man, if Dupree can be a better Dupree and Artie can give us something, I think it'll help the turnover margin. All right, last call of the night, man. Area code 412. Live from Pittsburgh. What you got for us tonight?
What's going on, Sim? This is Patrick. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing, Patrick?
I can't complain. Just wanted to talk about a couple things. One, I'm agreeing with Jedi. I'm sorry with everybody else. They going 13-3. I'm really confident in them. I just want to say that.
All right, we'll see. Hopefully.
Jedi is listening. You got a friend in me. They going 13-3.
Let's hope so.
I'm really confident in that team. Let's hope so. First thing about the running back by committee. For me, it's like a deep thing for me, because could it be running back by committee without it being running back by committee? And I know that might sound a little crazy to the ears, but I think James is going to be the feature back.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Benny Snell and Jalen Samuels each have a role there that they can in the backfield that they can fill in, and they can be productive for the Steelers, and that could make it running back by committee, where they have different sort of things that they can bring to the table.
Yeah,
Snell with his ability, with his power back mentality, you could bring him in maybe on 3rd and short, maybe 3rd and 5, 3rd medium. Jalen Samuels, we saw what he can do, what he did with the Patriots, and how he ran all over the field with them. You can use him in schemes like that. Use him in the backfield. And that could be running back by committee in a sense. And with JuJu being the number 1, I feel like if anybody can make that jump, make that leap, it could be him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw my question in the queue, but I know the number one receiver is normally your X, but can you be the number one receiver and be a slot guy? Because I feel like anybody can be a number one receiver on a team as long as they can be impactful. It doesn't have to be like a Julio or Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham. When the Packers didn't have not the Packers, when the Dallas Cowboys didn't have Dez Bryant, to me their number one guy was Cole Beasley, and Cole Beasley played the slot,
right?
And he was very impactful. Dak talked highly about him, how he was somebody who was very reliable, and he knew if he could throw the football, he was right there. So that's kind of all the things I probably wanted to share. And for the Troy Polamalu question, I feel like if anybody can bring that mentality where he can give us those turnovers he's looking for, it could be a Devin Bush. I really am really looking forward to seeing what he can do on the field. I felt like we got those type of guys. I felt like Troy did it. Willie Gay did it for us. He was like under the radar though. Before he got injured, Shazier was a guy who gave us that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But I definitely feel that if there's anybody on the team right now that can bring that mentality that Troy brought, it can be Devin Bush. Thanks for taking my call, man.
Oh, man, always, Patrick. I appreciate you calling and tuning in, man. Great call, great stuff. I agree. You're absolutely right. I think Devin Bush, you guys always hear me talk about having that dog, and sometimes the dog don't bark, There's some dogs, and I use that reference because it fits, number one. But number two, my brother's into dogs. He's had all kinds of dogs, your Neapolitan Mastiffs, your Cane Corso. He's had all of them type of dogs, right? Big time. And there were some dogs. I remember he had a Cane Corso that was very chill, but step in the wrong spot, get too close, and she would lose her mind. And the reason why I say that is some dogs don't bark. They just bite. Troy Polamalu was not a verbal leader or a verbal dog, but on that field, you ain't want no parts of Troy. You ain't want to get hit by him. You didn't want to throw anywhere close to where he's covering the field. He was a dog. And I think Devin Bush could be the same. His mentality, just watch how he plays. That dude is a dog on the field. And we need that. So maybe he could be that guy that can give us that edge. Ryan Shazier had it. Ryan Shazier was a little more vocal. You start seeing that after about his second season. He's out there yelling and screaming, and he was just 100 miles per hour. And unfortunately, that was actually what led him to get injured. I'm glad he's doing better now, but I always feared the way that Shazier tackled. But, I'm not going to blame him for that. It is what it is. All of us did that at some point when we played ball on the defense. But anyway, you're right. I think Devin Bush could be the dog, and we just need that mentality. We need the defense to believe that they are it. You got to walk it and talk it. So I'm looking forward to that too, man. I'm looking forward to seeing this team, defy the odds. Real quick, guys, that's going to pretty much wrap us, but I'll stay in the chat here for about 2 or 3 minutes, read a few comments, fire away. The first thing I wanted to reply to is I did find Kenyon's message finally. He said, he basically said, good point, Sim. JuJu already lines up in the slot so we can move him around, but JuJu will see bracket and double coverage this year. He already got a taste of that last year in week 17. You're absolutely right. So that's exactly the point I was making. We need to try to find a way to keep him in the slot. And yes, I believe your number one guy could line up in the slot, but the point I was making was typically if the number one guy is in the slot, imagine if Antonio Brown played in the slot 80% of the time. It's way harder to bracket him with the type of players you want to bracket him. You understand what I'm saying? Way harder trying to defend slot routes on the best receiver in the game than it is with him outside. It's easier to have your safeties rotate and, guys bracket coverage and drop back into, a certain drop zone or what have you. But if they are in the slot, it's a lot more stuff that can happen in there. Makes it's trickier on the defense. So that's why in light of Antonio Brown not being there, I'm sure we're going to line JuJu on the outside, especially when we go into those, 2 receiver sets. But if we can keep him in the slot, and I think we'll be able to do so as long as Moncrief and James Washington can give us consistent production. So that's going to be interesting. But all right, man, fire away, guys. 2 or 3 minutes, I'll stay in here. Nay says Marcus Allen needs to be somewhere on the field, in my opinion. Allen should play sub-package and reliever for both safeties. Okay, he's going to have to prove himself, but I'm not opposed to that. I like the way the kid played in Penn State. Love the way he played there. The league is a total different ball game, but I like the style of play he had at Penn State. Kenya says the reason JuJu is the number 1 in 2 receiver sets is because of his blocking. Great point. Great point, Kenya. Our resident historian there, guys, and the knowledge guy. That is Kenyon right there. I know a little bit, but Kenyon dives in. So make sure y'all pay attention to when Kenyon says something. D-Web says, who do you think is going to win the other inside linebacker job, Williams or Barron? I think Barron, this is what you're probably going to see week 1, folks. Vince Williams and Mark Barron. Definitely against Tom Brady. I don't know. It depends. I mean, because ideally Devin Bush is there to be what Ryan Shazier was, right? So the idea is to have the Ryan Shazier and Vince Williams combination. However, I think Mark Barron, at least from what we know from his history, could possibly be a better Vince Williams or a better John Bostic. So to me, Mark Barron would be replacing what Bostic was, who Vince Williams was when Shazier was there, right? So in theory, I think at some point we might see a situation when it's, a set where it's base coverage, a base defense, is probably going to end up at some point being Devin Bush and Mark Barron. But Vince Williams is going to play, and he's probably going to start week 1 because of his communication and familiarity and things like that, and we're facing off against the Patriots. So I think ideally at some point, Devin Bush, hopefully he improves and he becomes, starts to end up being the starting guy and the main focus. And then you work Barron in where necessary. And then also you're going to have some situations where Vince Williams is in there. So I think we'll see a pretty decent rotation there to begin with. Aries is in the building. You know it, brother. Patrick Covenant says it needs to be Bush and Williams. Okay. All right, about 2 or 3 more, guys, and then we're going to be out of here. Leon Artist says, losing 2 Hall of Fame talents should set us back because if we win, it sets a bad precedent. That's an interesting take, man. Okay, Kenya says Bush will start game 1. All right, I hope I'm wrong, Kenya. I hope I'm wrong. Now, getting back to Leon Artist, man, I see the angle that you're taking, but I don't know if I fully agree with that. And we got to get out of here, guys. We done pushed it to our max limit, which is 45 minutes. We're at 43, so I got to get up out of here. What up, Floyd? My cousin Floyd in the building. Say what up to Floyd, y'all. He has a lot going on, man, with his kids on Tuesday and stuff, with their sports. So he's not always able to catch us when we live. We're about to get out of here now, Floyd, but, we talked on Saturday. Floyd's going to try to give a call, man, when things start settling down a little bit. I definitely want you guys to hear him and his thoughts. But real quick, guys, I'll reply to this and I'll get out of here. I wouldn't say it sets a bad precedent because look at how the Steelers lost them. You know what I'm saying? Like, Antonio Brown worked his way out of there. Regardless of what may have happened behind the scenes, none of us know the real story, but we can only judge it based off of Antonio Brown's antics. So I'm not going to hold the Steelers all the way accountable for losing him. Which, yeah, we could easily say Tomlin should have ran a tighter ship. But again, if it's worked and you just got this one guy that blows it up, I'll take those chances. And Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell decided he wanted to bet on himself, which I fully agree with that. He decided he wanted to get more guaranteed money. I ain't blaming him for that. Get your money, young brother. But at the end of the day, you know the Steeler way. He probably would have made 90% of his contract had he stayed with the Steelers. So again, and he sat out and, didn't play on his tag. So the way that those guys left, I couldn't say that it sets a bad precedent with the Steelers losing 2 Hall of Famers. And if we are to be successful this season, it sets a bad precedent. No, if anything, I would say if we are to win and go into the playoffs and mess around and win the Super Bowl, which I know that's a stretch, you know what precedent it sets? Team first. No individuals. Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown gave us the perception as if it was more of an individual thing. So can't agree with what you're saying there. I know the angle you're coming with, but I don't fully agree with that. So just my opinion. But all right, man, yeah, Floyd and Tony, man, you guys are gonna have to meet, man. And Floyd knows this. Tony is my brother-in-law through my wife's husband's side, and then obviously Floyd is like another brother, man. I mean, cousin is just a formality. That's like another big brother there. So I think we'll all have a good time, man. We can try to get up and go to a game this year. I know Floyd and I talked about it. So we'll see, how the schedule is looking, but we definitely want to try to get out to a game this year. But anyway, man, that's my time. I got to get out of here. We are at 46 minutes. Y'all got me way past my limit, so I'm going to roll. Just got to remind you guys, hey, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Go ahead and be a part of the home team. Also, hit the like button. It helps me out tremendously when you do that. And make sure you share the stream, man. If you know other Steelers fans or other people that might enjoy the content, go ahead and share it. I appreciate that as well. But outside of that, I'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully there's more to talk about. Don't count on it since we're in the lull period right now, but we'll find something to talk about. All right, catch y'all next week. Be safe. Be blessed. Catch y'all later. Peace.